Hi everyone, welcome back to Helppo. Today we're going to be talking about linking words. Linking words are all about connecting thoughts and are absolutely crucial for a cohesive and compelling essay. Without linking words, our writing would just look like a scattered mess of sentences without anything to bring them together into a central theme. These phrases can be sprinkled throughout your sentences and are usually used to introduce and separate thoughts. We can organize linking words in a few different categories, but in this video we'll be going over what I feel are the 4 most useful when writing essays for IELTS, TOEFL, TOEIC, ICANN, or any other English proficiency exam. Agreement, example, limitation, and conclusion. Now that we've given you a bit of background on these linking phrases, let's go over a few of them in detail by category. We'll use this sample prompt from the IELTS General Writing Task 2 to demonstrate how we can use these phrases. Disruptive school students have a negative influence on others. Students who are noisy and disobedient should be grouped together and taught separately. Do you agree or disagree with this view? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your experience. The first category we'll talk about is agreement, addition, and comparison. The first phrase is of course. When we use it at the beginning of a sentence or clause, it can indicate that the writer is going to build upon something that the reader is already aware of or would likely assume. Of course, there are students who are disruptive because of learning disabilities such as ADHD. Such students would benefit from separate classes where they would not feel the pressure to fit into a traditional learning scheme. We used the link of course, assuming that the reader is going to think about students suffering from learning disabilities. When you use it in this way, it's almost like you're addressing a reader's concern before they can even say it. Another phrase is likewise. We can use likewise at the beginning of a sentence for analogies, or to compare two things or two situations and outline their similarities. Students that excel in certain classes can learn important teaching and explanation skills by being a source of support to other students who are disruptive because they have a hard time grasping the material assigned to them. Likewise, so-called disruptive students would benefit from working with peers in group assignments and seeing their work ethic, perhaps motivating them to work harder as well. As you can see in this example, using likewise shows that our two groups, the disruptive and non-disruptive students, will both mutually benefit from having each other in class. Now let's look at in addition. In addition is a more formal way of saying also. We can use it to add more proof to a point we've already made. Disruptive students bring the test scores of those sitting near them down several points. In addition, teachers who have to spend time trying to deal with these problem students often cover less material than those whose classes are more or less under control. Now let's move on to words that introduce examples, support, or emphasize your points. One of the most commonly used linking words in this category is in other words. We can use the phrase in other words to simplify a long explanation. We want to use this when boiling down a long point to a few choice words. Many children have problems at home. Some students may have undiagnosed learning disabilities such as ADD or ADHD, while others simply are so overloaded with work from other classes that they can't focus during the less exciting classes. In other words, there are many reasons students lose focus during their classes, and it would be unfair to group all of them together. The phrase, "it is important to realize," is used to bring attention to a key piece of information that will help readers see your point of view. When it comes to separating classes, it is important to realize that discrimination is inevitable. In other words, students in the disruptive classes will likely be bullied or alienated from others in their school or even by teachers. The most compelling evidence. This phrase is a good way to really bring one point to the forefront. One way to use this linking word is by structuring it with the words that and is. Take a look at our sample sentence here. As you can see here, we used the linking word the most compelling evidence, followed by the word that and the point we want to make. Finally, the proof or evidence to back up our point. To even out our writing, we sometimes have to acknowledge opposing arguments to our point. This may seem counterintuitive to some, but being able to analyze differing points is a necessary skill to persuasive writing. In order to do this, we can use linking words to indicate limitations or contradictions to certain points. In contrast, As you can see in the example, we started with a negative result of isolating focused students from disruptive students. We used in contrast to connect it to the positive side of mixing focused and disruptive students in classrooms. Use the phrase nevertheless after mentioning counter-arguments that don't hold too much weight before inserting your own argument that will effectively refute them. You can use this linking word in tandem with of course as well. Of course, students in classrooms with disruptive and focused students may learn certain social skills by mixing with different classmates. Nevertheless, these social skills will not be of much help when these students take their SATs. Students need to have a peaceful learning environment to absorb and apply the information taught in the classroom. Finally, let's go over a few linking words that will help us wrap up our essays. In summary, as shown above, and in conclusion. When you want to reiterate everything you wrote in the last few sentences, begin your last paragraph with the words in summary, as shown above, or in conclusion. When concluding this way, make sure to only highlight the main points of your essay. In this example, we started our concluding paragraph by restating our initial viewpoint. Then we summarized our entire essay into one sentence. Given these points. Ending your conclusion with given these points prompts your reader to compare their own initial thoughts and viewpoints to what you wrote about in your essay. You can continue your paragraph by either restating your initial argument or moving the reader to action. Given these points, teachers and administrators may want to consider keeping disruptive students with their focused counterparts to promote teamwork and cooperation within the classroom. Of course, we don't have enough time to go over all the commonly used linking words. When you practice writing, try to use as many linking words as possible. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check with us next time, where we'll give you a step-by-step walkthrough for the IELTS General Writing Task 2. To get some extra help with your essays and coaching for any subject, including SATs and IELTS prep, sign up for a free trial lesson with us at hihelppo.com. Thanks for watching.